The Michigan Wolverines upset a top 15 Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. We got to talk about how that happens and what, if anything, we can draw from such a win from Chiron Moore, back-to-back wins against Bama, a win against Ohio State. What's on tap for them in 2025, and what does this tell us about Ohio State? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show or your 1,000th and you have not subscribed, I'm going to ask you to do that. Join the 125,000 people that count themselves as part of this community. And frankly, we talk a lot. We talk a lot about college football. We talk a lot in the comments. As a matter of fact, tell me, do you think that this win for Michigan over Alabama is a harbinger of things to come for them in 2025? Is Michigan going to win a Big Ten championship game? And frankly, what does this mean for Ohio State? And what does it mean for Oklahoma? And what does it mean for Alabama? Let's start with the Alabama part. Woo, wow, it's tough. That's a terrible loss for you, dog. Like that's worse than Oklahoma to Navy, and I felt embarrassed by that one. You don't lose to no service academy by 1 point, but Alabama had won 10 games or more for 16 consecutive years. And then they hired Kalen DeBoer. That's how this is going to go. That's the only way this can go. Alabama lost to a 7-5 Michigan and lost to a 5-5. 5-6. No, 6-5. 5-5. My goodness. We got bowl eligibility with a win against Alabama at Owen Field. I can't even count because I'm still trying to wrap my head around what did Oklahoma do to that Bama squad? And I was thinking, you know what? Bama must be good. And you know what? All the guff that we was taking from SEC fans because got the nerve to lose to Navy after beating Bama. All right, now do this with Michigan. Well, Michigan beat Ohio State. Oh, my God. Okay, is that what it's going to be? We're going to do that. So if Ohio State goes and wins the national championship, Michigan's going to look at this and say, we beat the eventual national champions. They have not beaten us. There's no losses there. Like, nobody wants to go 8-5, but if you're going to go 8-5, you're going to do it this way because the defense is good. They were harassing Jalen Milroe. Save that really cool drive toward the end of the first half where Jalen Milroe did what only it feels like he could do this year. He also throwing you the ball. He also can't find nobody wide open. And they essentially beat Alabama with half a quarterback. Half quarterback because Davis Warren didn't get to play the whole game. But when he was out there, he looked all right, looked okay. And then he goes down, but they ended up doing what they did the last time. They beat Alabama, back-to-back wins, right? So Alabama and Jalen Milroe are 0-2 against Michigan and Sherrone Moore, right? But somehow, we're going to turn this into Alabama is sorry. Well, yeah, probably. Because it's a 9-win Alabama team that's now 9-4, which is the same record as Colorado, and none of y'all think that Colorado's any good, right? So are you going to tell me that Alabama's not no good? Is that what you're going to do now? And are you going to tell me that Michigan is? I'm inclined to believe that with Bryce Underwood coming in, Mikey Keene coming in, you're going to have a better quarterback next year than you did this year. That's bottom line. Bottom line is quarterback play will not get worse. It's going to get better. You also found a new star in tailback because apparently everybody but Donovan Edwards in that running back room is capable of running the rock for over 100 yards. I didn't think that was going to be a thing that we got to see out of Michigan in this game. I thought that this was going to be, like what many people thought this was going to be, Alabama running roughshod over the Wolverines in a game that nobody cared about, nobody really wanted to see in the first place. Turns out, no, that's not how this goes. How this goes is Michigan plays man ball and beats you playing man ball. And there's something wildly pleasing about watching your football team run on people over and over again and stop people from running on them. It's never not going to be cool. It's never not going to be fun. But as I'm looking at this thing and I'm watching this ReliaQuest Bowl play out, I'm asking myself, is Alabama about to head back into the dark ages? Is that a thing that's about to happen? Is Alabama about to go through it? Is Alabama 1 year away from firing Kalen DeBoer? Is Kalen DeBoer end up getting fired before, say, Brent Venables? I don't think Brent Venables should be fired. I like Brent Venables. I think he's 2025 to turn this thing around. But he has a season like he did this year. Next year, it's going to be really difficult to keep that job. It just is. 23 carries, 100 yards for Jordan Marshall, who is a freshman running back. Orji tried to throw the game away. 2 of 3 passing for 2 yards. And yet here we are once again talking about what Michigan was able to do in a low-scoring game. Like, if Michigan had any offense whatsoever, any passing offense whatsoever, we'd be talking about that team way differently. We would be talking about that team probably playing the college football playoff because that's just who they had been. That's just what they had shown. But 19-13 after a 13-10 win against Ohio State means that they haven't scored more than, let me see, I think that's the most they've scored all year. Nope, they scored 27 on USC because USC. I was going to say, I think that was the most they scored all year on a ranked opponent. But it's not true. They ended up being able to beat USC with no passing game, too. That Texas loss looks so much better all of a sudden. Also called into question what we might do against Texas and what we might do against Michigan when they get to Oklahoma next year. Because remember, that game is on the schedule. Right now, feels like Michigan's the better football team. Not feel. Michigan is the better football team to Oklahoma right now. It just is, right? Could it change by the time they play in September? Yeah, possible. It's possible. But 20-15 loss for Indiana, a 38-17 loss to Oregon, 13-10 win against Ohio State, 19-13 win against Alabama, a 27-24 win against USC, and a 31-12 loss to Texas. All over the map with this team. If you're a Michigan fan, you probably are thinking you underachieved at this point. And you know what? I'm gonna allow that. I think you overachieved. I think between the notice of allegations, the Connor Stallion thing at the start of August, the not having no quarterback whatsoever, the job that you have done, Sherrone Moore, in year 1, I think is up there. It's not coach of the year, but it's a damn good job. Like, I don't think that there are a whole lot of coaches that could have done what he was able to do at Michigan this year, given what they were up against. I think Wink Martindale really does know that defense. He's been able to do it with a bunch of dudes over there that, frankly, weren't as good as the guys they had last year. But you're going to recruit. You're going to hit the portal. They have been put in the portal. They've been doing a good job. You got Justice Haynes defecting from Alabama to Michigan. He's going to join Marshall back there in that backfield. Tony Alford's probably going to go get at least one more. This is a good football team or shaping up to be one. It would not shock me to find out that we're talking about this team in the way too early or preseason top 25 once again, based on what they were able to do against this Bama team that had beaten some good football teams right up until they didn't. That LSU game is probably going to be the one. Outside of that, dog, who wants it with Michigan right now? I mean, Ohio State does, but that's because Ohio State always does. I think next year, Michigan is going to once again prove that they're a difficult team to beat, that you have to take your possessions and score. If you give them the ball, they're going to sit on your neck, they're going to sit on your chest, and there's not going to be much you're able to say about it. Meanwhile, if you're Bama, what do you say about this? Especially with Kalen DeBoer's antics on the sideline. It wasn't a good look all the way around. He's yelling at the referees. He's yelling at his players. It doesn't feel like anybody's got any confidence in Jalen Milroe, and they keep dropping back to pass when they probably should have just been running QB draw, QB power, QB counter, and some version of speed option. No, read option. None of that was there. I was so unimpressed with what Nick Sheridan had in store for that defense. And once again, you just are playing into Michigan's hands, and they're going to let you.